Welcome to Tech Talks with Kinsoft. Imagine walking into your local butcher on a Friday afternoon, expecting to pick up dinner, and finding the display cases completely empty.
Just bare shelves.
Right, bare shelves. And not because of a drought or a transport strike, but because someone hundreds of miles away clicked a bad link in an email.
Or maybe an unpatched VPN appliance finally got exploited.
Exactly. You're standing there looking at empty shelves, realizing that the physical world, the food we eat, the supplies we buy, is entirely at the mercy of the invisible, chaotic world of computer code.
It is a jarring realization for most people, honestly, because we tend to view our supply chains as these robust physical entities, made of trucks and warehouses.
Yeah, tangible things.
Right. But the reality is that every single physical item you rely on is tethered to a digital backbone. And when that digital backbone fractures, the physical world doesn't just slow down, it violently stops in its tracks.
Which brings us to the focus of our analysis today. We're looking at a major cybersecurity incident that hit the physical world incredibly fast and undeniably hard.
The February 2026 cyberattack on Hazeldenes.
That's the one of Australia's largest poultry producers. Our mission today is to, pull this incident apart. We want to look at the mechanics of the attack, the staggering supply chain shockwave it triggered, and why a company would purposefully initiate a catastrophic IT shutdown as a line of defense.
Because for you listening, understanding the architecture of this attack really means understanding your own vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
And to really understand those vulnerabilities, we have to look past the surface level disruption. I mean, this is a story about the convergence of information technology, your standard data networks, and operational technology.
The actual physical machinery on the factory floor, right?
Right, exactly. When you bridge those two worlds without bulletproof segmentation, a digital breach instantly becomes a physical crisis. We're talking a complete halt of operations.
Well, let's ground this in the scale of the target, because Hazeldenes is not some, boutique mom-and-pop farming operation. They are a massive logistical empire based in Victoria.
Massive is almost an understatement.
Right. We're talking about processing roughly 900,000 birds every single week.
Wow.
Yeah, that translates to producing over 85 million kilograms of chicken annually. I mean, they supply major supermarket chains, wholesalers, independent butchers all across the region.
And this operation spans over 50 different highly integrated sites, doesn't it?
It does. Farms, hatcheries, processing plants, all anchored by their massive Lockwood South facility.
See, the scale is precisely what makes them a target. When you have an operation of that magnitude, where farms must feed into hatcheries on a strict schedule, and hatcheries feed into processing plants, and then processing plants feed into cold chain distribution.
It's all connected.
Completely. You are running a finely tuned, highly pressurized engine.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sir, go ahead.
If I'm a sophisticated threat actor, why go after a poultry processor? I mean, we typically hear about hackers going after banks, tech giants, or healthcare data where there's an obvious treasure trove of intellectual property, or easily monetizable data. What's the leverage here?
Well, what's fascinating here is how modern ransomware syndicates operate now. They've realized that data theft, while lucrative, is complicated.
Because you have to find a buyer.
Right, you need a buyer, or you have to hope the victim pays to keep it quiet. But if you target a company processing 900,000 live animals a week, you aren't just stealing data to sell. You are weaponizing their own biological ticking clock against them. It's all about targeting uptime. Halting processing and packaging creates immense urgency, which hackers try to leverage.
Because the product is perishable.
Perishable and living. I mean, think about the mechanics. A bank can often weather a few days of system outages. Transactions get queued. Ledgers update asynchronously later.
It's a headache, but the money doesn't rot.
Exactly. In agriculture, you have living animals that require automated feeding, climate control, welfare management. And once processed, you have meat that requires strict refrigeration and immediate packaging.
So if you halt those conveyor belts, you create an immediate visceral crisis.
And the hackers leverage that immense operational pressure, knowing the company is bleeding millions of dollars by the hour, to try and force a rapid ransom payment.
Which sets the stage for Thursday, the 19th of February, 2026. This biological ticking clock was suddenly weaponized against Hazeldenes.
Right. They detected a cyber attack actively moving through their environment.
Yeah, employees started experiencing login issues, which is the classic hallmark of a compromised Active Directory.
Right, absolutely. That or the domain controller issue.
And then the company had to start frantically shutting down Wi-Fi networks at one or more of its sites to contain the spread. Now, I want to look closely at this immediate defensive response, shutting down the whole IT system.
The kill switch.
Right, the kill switch. Shutting down the whole IT system feels like turning off the main water valve to your house because of a leaky sink. You can't shower or drink, but you save the foundation.
That's a good way to put it.
But in an integrated facility processing almost 1 million birds a week, isn't the cure of a total shutdown almost as catastrophic as the digital disease?
It feels that way, yeah.
Yeah.
It is extreme. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, looking at the mechanics of a modern intrusion, it's often the only viable option.
Really, the only option.
In manufacturing, yes. Let's say a threat actor gains entry through a compromised credential on an unpatched external VPN. They don't just sit on that one server.
Right, they spread.
They use automated scripts to move laterally. They scan the environment, map out the network architecture, attempt to escalate privileges, and they actively hunt for the corporate backups to encrypt them before dropping the ransomware payload.
They want to ensure that when they lock you out, you have absolutely no way to restore your systems.
Precisely. Now imagine Hazeldenes with its 50 interconnected sites. You have corporate offices, logistics hubs, and the automated processing lines at Lockwood South.
And historically, those were separate.
Right. Historically, corporate IT and factory floor operational technology, the OT, were kept completely separate. They were air-gapped.
Right. Literally no physical connection.
But in the pursuit of efficiency, predictive maintenance, data analytics, companies have converged these networks. Now, the email server can often talk to the server controlling the conveyor belts.
Oh, wow. So if Hazeldenes doesn't intentionally bulldoze those digital hallways, the moment they detect lateral movement, the infection crosses the bridge.
Exactly. It crosses from the digital IT space right into the physical OT space.
Yeah.
A rapid IT shutdown halts production, sure, but it prevents the total compromise of the entire network.
So the sudden Wi-Fi shutdowns, the login blocks, the total IT freeze, it's all about creating artificial air gaps on the fly.
That's the brutal calculus of incident response. If they allowed that malware to encrypt the programmable logic controllers on the factory floor, they wouldn't just be offline for a few days. They could be forced to physically rip and replace hardware.
Which would keep them offline for months.
Exactly, so they had to pull the plug. And Hazeldenes did follow standard responsible incident response protocols during this chaos.
Right. They engaged external cybersecurity experts immediately. They notified the relevant Australian authorities, and they made it very clear that their absolute priority was the welfare of their staff, the animals, and their customers.
Which is critical in these situations.
Definitely. Interestingly, at the time of these initial reports, they hadn't confirmed if any employee or customer data was actually compromised. But they did promise to notify affected individuals, if so.
And that points to the sheer complexity of the forensics involved. In the immediate aftermath of pulling the plug, the cybersecurity teams aren't focused on reading logs to see what data left the building.
They just want to stop the bleeding.
Right. They're focused on containment and eradication. They have to assume the threat actors have left backdoors, persistent footholds hidden throughout the environment.
Which really explains the timeline of the recovery. Because they detected the attack on Thursday, February 19th, but they only began a phased return to production safely and securely around February 25th.
Which is a long time in that industry.
It is. For anyone keeping track, that's essentially a full week of massive disruption. Why does it take almost a week to reboot systems if you've supposedly isolated the threat?
Because a phased return is a painstaking, highly technical process. You cannot simply wipe a server, restore a backup, and plug it back into the wall.
Because the backup might be infected too.
Exactly. If the threat actor compromised your Active Directory, the system that manages all user permissions, your backups might contain those same compromised administrative accounts. If you restore them, the hackers just log right back in.
Wow. So you are essentially rebuilding the digital foundation of the company while the physical company is paralyzed.
You are. The external experts have to deploy specialized monitoring agents across every endpoint. They have to verify the integrity of the backups in an isolated environment.
It sounds exhausting.
It's incredibly tense. They have to rebuild network segmentation rules from scratch to ensure that when the processing plant at Lockwood South comes back online, it is completely walled off from the corporate network.
A slow, phased reboot is critical to ensure the threat is completely eradicated.
Only when a system is certified completely clean can it be slowly integrated back into the production environment.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because while the IT teams and forensics experts are playing this incredibly tense game of digital cat and mouse deep inside the servers, the physical world outside the plant is dealing with the immediate consequences of that bulldozed network.
Wait, the supply chain shockwave.
Exactly. The moment Hazeldenes hit that digital kill switch, it sent a shockwave straight into the Victorian economy. I mean, we are talking about immediate, highly visible chicken shortages hitting wholesalers, butchers, and supermarkets almost overnight.
This is the harsh reality of the just-in-time supply chain model. Over the last 2 decades, logistics have been heavily optimized for capital efficiency.
Because warehousing product is expensive, right?
Exactly. So the modern supply chain has been engineered to have virtually no buffer. The product moves continuously from farm to processor to retailer to consumer.
But wait, I have to challenge that assumption, though. We are talking about a company producing 85 million kilograms of chicken a year.
True.
Surely, a massive integrated operation of that scale has some kind of strategic cold storage reserve. Like a week's worth of frozen product they can fall back on when the conveyor belts stop.
Well, it's a logical assumption, but it ignores the economic margins of the wholesale meat industry. While they certainly have cold storage, it's designed for staging and immediate distribution, not long-term strategic buffering.
Oh, okay.
Freezing massive quantities of fresh poultry degrades the quality, alters the price point, and requires immense energy overhead. The industry relies on fresh, daily deliveries to maintain cash flow and product standards.
So when you sever the IT systems that coordinate the logistics of those daily deliveries, the downstream economy starves instantly.
Instantly, the digital shutdown empties the physical shelves.
The sources provide some incredible ground-level anecdotes that really paint a picture of how quickly the starvation happens. Take Georgia Polidorus Gilmore.
Right, from Eroso Poultry.
Yeah, she's the manager of Eroso Poultry, which is a significant meat wholesaler. She told reporters that they knew by Thursday, the exact same day the attack was detected and the IT systems went dark, that they were not going to get their crucial Friday delivery.
And we aren't talking about a casual afternoon drop-off here.
No, these birds are scheduled to arrive at 2:00 a.m.
That 2:00 a.m. delivery window is the absolute lifeblood of a wholesale operation. That specific delivery dictates everything they can process, portion, and send out to their own retail clients later that same morning.
So when the trucks fail to show up at 2 a.m., the entire downstream network of restaurants, cafes, and supermarkets misses their morning stock.
It's a domino effect.
And the chaos wasn't just caused by the lack of product. It was compounded by a complete breakdown in communication. I mean, listen to the story of Nathan Grayling.
The butcher, right?
Yeah, he's a regional butcher who relies on a major weekly delivery to stock his shop. And notably, that includes supplying all the chicken for the local pubs in his area. He arrived at work on the weekend, ready to prep for the massive weekend rush, and found that his entire order had completely failed to arrive.
With zero notification.
Exactly. The most staggering part is he had absolutely zero notification. No phone call, no email, no warning whatsoever. Businesses were just left scrambling.
See, this raises an important question about the broader resilience of the food supply chain. And the silence Nathan experienced actually makes perfect sense when you think about it.
Because their systems were down.
Right. When Hazeldenes bulldozed their network to contain the ransomware, they didn't just shut down the factory machinery. They likely had to sever their exchange servers, their automated logistics portals, their customer relationship management databases.
Oh, wow. So they couldn't have warned him even if they wanted to.
The staff literally may not have had the digital means or even access to the contact lists to systematically notify their clients that the trucks weren't coming.
So you have Nathan standing in an empty butcher shop, ringing around to other local supermarkets and competing butchers, only to find out they didn't get any chicken either.
Just total blindness.
Right. He's left scrambling, trying to figure out how to run a small business and supply these local pubs with absolutely no product and no situational awareness.
Which brings us to the global context here. Because the incident at Hazeldenes in Victoria is not an anomaly. It's part of an alarming trend of food industry cyberattacks worldwide.
Threat actors have realized that targeting these specific industries guarantees maximum disruption.
Exactly. Maximum disruption equals immense public pressure, which means a higher likelihood of an extortion payout.
The sources explicitly map out this global pattern, and it's startling when you look at it all together. I mean, we've seen the massive Japanese beverage group Asahi hit with an attack.
Right, a huge player.
Over in the United States, the giant grocery wholesaler UNFI faced severe operational disruptions. In Europe, the dairy producer Arla Foods had a major German site impacted.
It's happening everywhere.
Down in South Africa, another major poultry producer, Astral Foods, actually had to issue a formal profit warning to investors because a cybersecurity breach hit their operational capacity and bottom line so hard.
Don't forget Canada.
Right. In Canada, the major meat processor Maple Leaf Foods suffered a sophisticated system outage and publicly stated they had to reject a ransom demand.
When you analyze that list of victims, a clear theme emerges. These are legacy manufacturing and processing companies that have undergone rapid digital transformation over the last 5 to 10 years.
They've taken physical machinery that was designed to run in isolation for decades.
And they connected it to enterprise IT networks. They bolted internet connectivity onto industrial control systems to harvest data without necessarily architecting the security boundaries required to protect those systems from modern extortion syndicates.
It's the ultimate double-edged sword, isn't it? The very connectivity that allows a company to track efficiency down to the microsecond is the exact same pathway a hacker uses to shut down the entire plant.
Exactly. Every connection between a corporate laptop and a factory floor sensor is a potential attack vector. When you compromise that connection, you are no longer just dealing with a data privacy breach.
You're dealing with the physical world.
Right. You are dealing with the immediate loss of physical production capacity. You lose the fundamental ability to process raw materials and put food on shelves.
So what does this all mean? Let's pull all these threads together. If we look at the entire life cycle of the Hazeldenes incident, we see a chilling chain reaction.
A domino effect from start to finish.
Yeah, a digital vulnerability at one single company. Perhaps an unpatched gateway, or a compromised credential allowed threat actors into the network.
Right.
That intrusion forced the company into a massive defensive IT shutdown to prevent lateral movement. That digital shutdown immediately halted the physical processing and packaging of millions of kilograms of perishable food.
And that physical halt instantly choked the local supply chain,
leaving wholesalers paralyzed, butchers empty-handed, and communities without product. It proves, I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, that modern cyber threats are no longer abstract, invisible data problems. They are tangible, physical threats to our daily lives.
It forces a complete reevaluation of how we categorize risk. For decades, securing a physical supply chain meant building higher fences, installing better locks, hiring security guards.
But today, the most dangerous threat to the physical delivery of goods is entirely digital.
If your network architecture is flat, your supply chain is fragile. It's that simple.
It really makes you stop and think about the hidden dependencies in your own operations. For you listening right now, consider the businesses you interact with daily or the infrastructure of your own company. How resilient is your operation to a sudden, forced digital shutdown?
Could you survive the week?
Right. If you detected lateral movement on your network tomorrow and had to proactively bulldoze your own digital hallways to stop a spreading threat, how would your business function? How would you communicate with your clients?
And I'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. We have spent the last half-century optimizing our entire world for speed and capital efficiency, systematically stripping away the safety buffers to deliver goods just in time.
Yeah, zero buffer.
But if sophisticated threat actors are increasingly realizing that targeting our food and physical supply chains causes immediate, real-world panic and maximum extortion leverage, are we entering an era where our grocery lists, our local businesses, and our dinner tables are ultimately dictated by the strength of corporate firewalls?
Wow. It is a profound, unsettling reality that we all have to navigate. To ensure your own operations are secure against these types of cascading physical and digital disruptions, visit www.kinsoft.com.au to discuss your security and IT needs today.